Smile. Breathe. And just remember, it's too late to get out of it, so you might as well go on.
Do you ever get the feeling that people are incapable of not caring?
You know, I'm screwed up and average enough that I could write a song that'll live on forever. And then after that, it don't matter. I am the king of gay chickens.
No, seriously, what the fuck?
Honestly, you're in a memory in your subconscious.
Fuck! Seriously?
I don't know what you've been told, little lady, but the rest of us start at 9. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Good morning.
Hey, Benny! Looks to me like you're on the wrong side of the river!
Is it gonna be like this all the time?
Can't use emojis anymore.
Why not?
That's out.
Is it like
It's over.
Is it like a thing of the past?
It's a thing of the past,
or is it just
mate.
like society has decided?
Well, it's the thing of the present for us, but cool kids, the young kids, emojis are out, mate.
Cool. Well, I would.
On the in and out trends, emojis out for 2023.
I think the only emoji I have ever used has been a smiley face.
Oh,
Like
that's the worst one. That's
a
the cringest, most
Semicolon,
millennial, so that
capital
just
B.
happened, moustache on finger
just that.
thing you could ever do.
And even then, rarely.
Apparently, it's the
Emojis
crying.
have never been a thing for me.
No, apparently the crying, laughing one is the worst one to use. I don't know why.
Oh. Is this like Gen Z talking? Like,
Yeah, this is Gen Z talking,
and
and you got to keep
calling
up with
us
the
boomers
kids
and stuff?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
Calling us the greatest generation. So I'm gonna stop, obviously, because you got to keep up with, you got to stay on trend.
Oh, yes.
I have used them quite a lot historically, and I realized, well, obviously I'll stop doing it because you've got to stay young and cool.
Okay.
And also I have realized how it creeps sort of into your lexicon and how you just get used to expressing yourself that way.
So that when you have actual conversations, you'll say a sentence and then end it with an awkward smile, as though that's how you
I
want
turn my face on an angle and squint my eyes. No, not in not in spoken language, but I'll notice sometimes I'll be like sending a work email, and I realize my impulse is to do an emoji somewhere
Type that
in
little
it,
bit, yeah.
because the emoji it does add an extra level of your ability to communicate, because
it adds a flavor.
because it's telling you, by the way, this is my facial expression as I say this, which is very important. It's sort of communicating, by the way, this is the tone of what I'm saying. So don't worry. I'm chill about what we're talking about. You know.
Don't take it to heart.
Yeah, and so if you can't do that, you just have to do it with words. And as a great fan of words, as annoying people like to say, I hate when people say stuff. I just love language. You know, these fucking Stephen Fry types just wandering around. I've been a lover of language my whole life. Like, yeah, sure.
I mean,
we all
Stephen Fry
love
can say that,
language. What?
Stephen Fry can get away with that.
Oh, look, of all the people who love language, Stephen Fry probably does love it the most.
Yeah, and I respect it.
It's a veritable lust for language at certain times. He needs to calm down.
I hate cringe things, but simultaneously love them. I think
by definition.
I think that's what cringing means, I guess. But like when we were in uni,
I don't know.
it
For
would
me,
have been around about the
I
time
just don't like them.
that people were like texting, and in text messages or on MSN Messenger, they would put little asterisks and then a phrase and then an asterisk to say that was an action that they did at the time. Like it's hard to do it
throws
without
keyboard.
Yeah, it's hard to do it without feeling super cringy, and I hated it. And when it was happening, I'm like, I do not like this.
Well, I think it depends on the action.
It was like it was weird. Like when you're talking to
there's
someone,
lots of that can be a convention in some very funny tweets I like. You know, like it'll be asterisk asterisk, and it says getting out of a beanbag, and then it's what do you mean divorce? That's a great, you know.
See, yeah, that is good. But when if you're having a
Then it's just
conversation
stage
with somebody
directions.
that you may or may not be courting at the time, and they're talking about like cyberlenian and like touching your hand gently, and then getting shocks and stuff in asterisks in text message.
Oh no,
that's awkward and so weird, and I've always hated it.
So Isaac, there were people you would be courting.
There were people that I decided not to be courting after having conversations like this.
You would initiate a court,
Yes.
And then they would do asterisks.
People don't use the word courting enough anymore.
I think it's used the perfectly right amount. They would do asterisk. I'm sliding my hand over the table
Like
to the point where our fingertips touch, like at the
things
end of the
like
first
that,
episode of Wire in the
yes.
Blood. And then you go, okay,
Yeah.
tapping out of this one.
Things like that I find so awkward. And I'm so glad that the
Yeah,
lexicon of
that's terrible.
communication via social media has like moved away from that.
Yeah, we were apparently transcending GIFs at the moment as well.
That'll never happen. I stand by GIFs. I make them all
You
the
can
time.
stand by them, but it's very hard to tell, as someone who's obviously outside of the age group,
True.
when Gen Z makes fun of millennials. I think it's funny when millennials get upset by it. Like they get triggered. I'm like, guys, it's all part of the process. It's fine.
It just means
Yes,
you're valid.
they did used to think we were cool. We'll be cool again. It's fine. This has to happen. Don't just float downstream. Don't worry about it. But sometimes Gen Z will say some stuff, and I'm like, I don't know how much of this is. Some of it is obviously genuine cringe, and some of it is like you sort of trying to find stuff, you know. And so one of them is like replying to stuff with a GIF. I'm like, I feel like you're reaching a little bit on that one. I feel like you're.
GIFs are fine to reply to.
I feel like you guys are kind of getting on a rhythm of coming up with cringe stuff that millennials do, and there's plenty to choose from. And I think replying to something with a GIF is just a little. Maybe that'll become more cringe with time, but I think you're reaching a little bit there.
Yeah, I stand by GIFs. I think GIFs are a fantastic way of using comedy in a text message.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you could find a hilarious GIF that somebody says something in your group chats and you found the perfect GIF.
Oh man, when you hit him with that great GIF and hit him fast
Dude
as well,
shaking his shoulders when he's really excited about something.
like you had it ready to go because you're so
Attuned.
You're so attuned and just so fluent in GIF
Or
language.
you know the three keywords that will find that specific GIF. If you just type it into the search, it just comes up first. Yeah. Oh, that's a good feel. Them's good feels.
Yeah.
Or when you like know that a GIF should exist for something, but it doesn't exist because you've seen this film and you're like, that moment in this one movie would be perfect for this. And then I spend 30 minutes searching to see if somebody's made it into a GIF already, and they haven't. And then I realized that I stopped downloading movies years ago, so I can't do it myself.
You're like, if I make this into a GIF, will the moment have passed by the time I'm finished doing it? Or if someone hits you with a GIF, you hit them back with another GIF, building on their GIF. That's the peak of culture right there.
It is.
Move aside, Athens. We've done GIFs on GIFs. Thank you very much. You know when you go to the barber?
I'm aware.
You've been to a barber, yeah? Do you go to one where they do the hot towel?
I do enjoy myself a hot and then cold towel.
When someone puts a hot towel over your head, and it goes over your eyes, and it goes over your whole face, and then they put their hands on the outside of it and like rub it into your head a little bit. Does that stir anything for you?
Are we talking about negative stirring or positive stirring?
Like
Stirring.
deep, like childhood regressive memories.
No.
Just because
It just feels nice.
It does feel nice. It feels lovely.
I like another man's hands rubbing a warm towel on my face.
I love another man's hands rubbing a warm towel on my head. It doesn't actually have to be a man. I don't know who's out there. It could be E.T. for all I know.
It does not matter.
But yeah, at this point, I've transcended gender and human identity. I'm in a landscape of memory and emotion that I can't interpret or process. And you're in the middle. It's the middle of the day in a barbershop, and suddenly you're being touched in a way that you are never touched any other time in your life. You know?
Yes, I've never
like your partner
had that experience with a romantic partner.
Because they're never gonna sort of softly put a really hot towel over your head, cover your eyes so you're in darkness, and just sort of smoosh it around a little bit, like you're having your hair dried by a parent as a child.
Sure.
And then it comes off and you're just back in the world. And you just feel like, thanks.
And then they whip it around and it gets cold and they do the same thing with the cold one.
Well,
and it's just like that. That's designed to then remove you from the sensual experience.
That's to bring you back into reality.
Like, no, we're adults. Yeah. You've had your moment.
Yeah.
And now we move on.
I wonder if they realize what they're doing to people.
I hope so. If it's affected you this much, I hope they realize. Because that is a power that few people possess.
Yeah. It's just, and it's so unique. I guess women wouldn't really have that.
I don't think that's a thing.
or
Because everyone's wearing makeup when they go to get their hair done.
I think sometimes they do. Or if you're someone who has really long hair, it wouldn't work the same way because it can't get into your scalp in the same kind of massagey way. Anyway, that was just something I was thinking about.
How long have you been thinking about that?
A few days.
Months.
Just it happened just the other day, so it's fresh.
Good cut. Fresh cut, man.
Yeah. And then I now get a haircut about once a week. I'm like, just a trim up. Actually, do you guys do just the towel thing? Can I just pay $5 for the towel? Is that cool? No, don't stop.
That would be weird. Didn't we see you last week? No.
No, that was just keep going back in with wigs on. Get them to cut the wig. Is this a cut it? Cut it. Now do the towel thing. I'm very alone. Do you know, I didn't realize this, and we'll get started in a minute.
Sure.
This is just a bonkers movie fact to me that I never realized.
I do love trivia.
It's an obvious fact as well, but just fucking Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
You know how he did Jurassic Park that time?
I've seen it many times. I may have watched it 2 days ago.
You know how he did Schindler's List that time?
I have seen that once.
Same year.
Uh-huh. Did you not
imagine and I knew obviously they came around exactly around the same time, but just fucking you bring out Jurassic Park in like March and you bring out Schindler's List in October of the same fucking year. Just ridiculous.
Yeah.
That man's career is just sickening to look at.
Sickeningly good. Yeah.
Just so many different incredible achievements coming out of one person on the back of obviously an enormous team, I'm sure.
Yeah, and different teams.
Yeah.
Because like the same people who made Schindler's List with him are not the same people who made Jurassic Park with him.
No, probably a different vibe.
Yeah, I would assume.
Very different vibe.
A lot less computer generated.
Less computer generated and less... just Jeff Goldblum just pitching up in Schindler's List. Oh my god, things are really getting pretty bad around here. I think we should really make some kind of a list. Yeah, that's how it went down.
Yeah, it is a good movie fact.
You know.
Well, Jurassic Park I think also feels very rushed. Like it doesn't feel rushed, but the book Jurassic Park came out in like 91.
Yeah, that's crazy as well.
And they released the movie 2 years later. So like the book comes out and immediately he's like, yep, we're making this movie. Yeah. And they have to develop new technology. They have to utilize new technology. Like they go so far. And that's a big task.
Such a 1990s thing as well to have the idea for Jurassic Park and be like, oh yeah, this is a novel.
Yeah.
No one's writing those novels anymore, are they? No one's. They're like, this is a movie now, obviously.
You try to find them and they don't exist anymore.
Movie facts, 1993, early 90s, great time. Great time for cinema, great time for TV movies. Great time for introducing maybe the greatest actor of a certain generation. Who's to say? Us, because we're Frasiacs. Hello, everyone. It's Exceptional Thieves.
Oh, what?
It's a podcast where Isaac and I review and rewrite movies. I'm Sam.
And I am Isaac.
My thing is that I haven't seen The Whale. That's my thing.
Oh, that's your thing?
Yeah, and what's your thing?
I don't have a thing.
Oh.
Do I need one?
Yes.
Okay, I am...
For branding.
I'm
the guy
the talent.
Okay,
yeah,
nice.
Let's go with that.
Okay, so we're combining... This podcast is a potent blend of talent and guy who hasn't seen The Whale.
Yeah.
And this...
My thing may change week to week.
Mine won't.
Oh, that's your thing. Your thing won't change.
I will never see The Whale. So this is the fourth, I think, episode of Turns of Frase, our special series where we are watching and reviewing the entire filmography of Brendan Fraser, the king of film.
Yeet.
And boy, are we reviewing the filmography of Brendan Fraser this week. Talking about...
This week is like, it feels like...
We've started.
We're entering the filmography of Brendan Fraser.
We are entering. There's been some fucking around with some cameos. And we have gone from, 3-second cameo with his magnificent introduction line of "How would you like to eat my shit?"
Yeah.
2, it is introducing Brendan Fraser. That's the credits at the start of this film. Very, very exciting. It has 2 titles floating around.
I prefer the title that we didn't get to see. Like
Presumed Guilty.
Presumed Guilty is a much better title. Well, it's an easier title than Guilty Until Proven Innocent.
Guilty Until Proven Innocent is awkward.
Poetic. Like that's a little poetic, but it's a mouthful.
Presumed Guilty is the exact same thing, just much shorter. So, and we're great fans of concision on this show.
We are.
Concision.
Yeah, we've thought many films were a little too long.
Almost every film is.
Except Avengers Endgame.
But just before we get to Presumed Guilty / Guilty Until Proven Innocent, have you seen any good movies lately, Isaiah?
I've seen a few movies lately.
Hit me with them quickly.
Ghosted. Just watch that new Chris Evans and Ana de Armas movie last night.
Oh, yeah.
Not terrible, not amazing.
I'm worried that's becoming a bit of a Chris Evans theme.
I love me some Chris Evans.
Obviously.
This film apparently was originally supposed to star Scarlett Johansson in Ana de Armas' character.
Okay.
And...
Bit much.
Looking at it, it would have been a much different film.
Oh, yeah?
Because, like, the comedy... There's a lot of comedy in that in it, because it's like an action comedy, romance drama thingy. That's cool. And
Sounds
it works,
a bit unfocused.
It works really well with Ana de Armas and Chris Evans, because they're clearly very good friends, and... They're comedicness.
They're an interesting contrast as well.
Yes.
Like coming out of Avengers, Skojo's, they're the same person.
Skojo and Chris Evans, it's just Winter Soldier, but attempting to be more comedy, less Winter Soldier-y. Because like there was a little bit of quipping in every Marvel film, and they have quips, but it would not feel the same watching this movie. But like, not terrible. Don't go out of your way to watch it, but go watch it.
I don't think I will. Yeah.
It's on Apple TV, so you have to like... have
one
of those.
I think I'm still accidentally paying for Apple TV.
Ted Lasso, right?
Got to get the fuck off that. No, it was to watch this thing called Extrapolations, which is sort of an anthology series set at different times in the future, sort of talking about climate change. And I saw a trailer for it. I was like, oh yeah. And then I started watching the first episode, and I was like, immediately no. Immediately no.
Have you watched Ted Lasso?
No, but I
highly recommend.
Okay, all right, fine.
But I'm thoroughly addicted. It is just such feel good. It makes you happy, man.
Are you on season 3 yet?
No, I binged the first season literally yesterday.
The word on the street has always been that season 3 is where it tails off and people aren't happy. But people are never happy.
People can fuck themselves.
Take
that, people.
And they do.
Yeah, they do.
Hell yeah.
And each other.
Yeah.
Sex.
Yeah. That's what we're talking about.
Preferably consensual.
I would say mandatorily. I'll say that. I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna be that guy.
Have you seen any good movies lately?
I have seen a couple of good movies lately. Saw Beast.
Same.
With Idris Elba.
Seen Beast.
Great.
Fun.
Great.
Stupid and fun.
Yeah, relatively inventive. You know, it's doing something. And yeah, it's fucking Idris Elba fighting a lion. Yes, please. You know, you're not winning any Oscars. You're not trying to.
You're just trying to have fun and be entertaining. Like a film should.
When we developed the ability to do live action, like photorealistic lions, this is what we should be doing. Not Lion King, for fuck's sake. Just a bunch of blank-faced cats pretending to be sad.
This lion speaking English in this movie.
I would love a Lion King crossover with Beast, absolutely. Just Seth Rogen's Pumbaa charging through.
That helps him out at the end of the movie. Yeah. It's just Simba's fucking group of people. I got you, bud. I got you. Isn't Idris Elba the voice of Scar anyway?
Could be.
I think he is. Oh no. He was Shere Khan in the Jungle Book live action.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure he did that. Yeah.
Much better alignment, I think.
What else? What you got?
Well, we caved and saw Dungeons and Dragons.
Same.
What do you think?
I was like utterly hopeful that it would be fantastic. It is very fun. It is not a bad movie at all. I'm sad that it's kind of flopped.
Has it flopped?
I think so, yeah. I don't think it's made as much money as it should.
I thought it was.
That it deserves.
I thought it was doing fine. Like it's not going to be.
Like I had a great time, and it's better than the other two Dungeons and Dragons movies that exist.
Yes, definitely the best Dungeons and Dragons movie that exists. I loved it. I thought there were a bunch of really great lines. Like as someone with very very minimal familiarity with like everything I know about Dungeons and Dragons is from Stranger Things. That's where I'm coming from. But big fan of just world building and fantasy world stuff.
I love that there was no massive exposition dump about the fantasy world itself.
No, it's just
start.
We're here and we're doing stuff.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it.
The only exposition dumps are about the characters themselves, and I'm down with that.
Yeah, which I heard someone else make the point is a very it's a very D&D.
It is
trope.
a very D&D thing. Yeah, you tell your character's backstory.
You need the character backstory. Yeah. A lot of the comedy I found really good. I was like, because it's so easy for comedy to just be lame.
Yeah.
And like there's like the thing that I would pick out as what I thought more of the movie was going to be like is in the trailer where someone says something, we must go through this thing and it'll be incredibly dangerous. And
then he steps on the thing and the things.
No, that guy, what's that actor's name? Justice. He's like, oh, well, this will be lovely. And they're like, no, they won't. It'll be terrible. It's like, I know, I was being ironic. No, you weren't. That's not irony. You were being sarcastic. That's not what irony is.
Yeah.
Like if you had thought it was going to be really easy and then it's revealed it's going to be really hard, that could kind of be ironic. But it's just like a general illiteracy in the way a lot of things are written. And I thought it was going to be a lot to that. Unfortunately, that line does stay in the movie, but that was kind of the only one. Everything else, it's rolling along and it's, it's snappy and it's good. And it's like, I guess, what if Guardians of the Galaxy were in Middle Earth? And that's fine.
That's perfectly fine.
That's a great movie idea.
I thoroughly enjoy a lot of tropes that, like, for people who play D&D will recognize little tropes, like the Rene Jean
Padgett, I think is what
his name.
Say. Yeah. Great guy.
His character, the Paladin who comes in.
Very good.
Awesome. And every campaign you've ever done, your team can be a bunch of shit people, but you meet some righteous paladin NPC who's played by the DM, and he's just fantastic at everything, and he's a perfect character.
Yeah,
and I love that is a thing in this movie. Like he is a perfect character.
Yeah, I really appreciated that as well. That the Marvel sort of cesspit of comedy we found ourselves in is just like there's 3 jokes you can do. There's 3 paths to comedy, and one kind of the only ways you can do it is undermining a character. Character pretends to be one thing, gets revealed to be another thing. Character pretends to be cool, gets revealed to not be cool. And it's just that relentlessly.
Sure.
And with this character, he's really funny the whole time, but he never breaks from being who he is.
Yeah.
At a certain point in a lesser film and with a lesser writer, I would argue, at a certain point he'd like trip over or be like, actually, I've never done this before. Just one of those just really lame things. Like, no, this character can still be really funny and interact humorously with the other characters, but just be who he is as this this strong, noble,
warrior,
verbose knight. Yeah. So I really appreciated that.
I enjoyed it a lot. I liked little mentions of spells only having certain amounts of usages. Why can you only ask 5 questions? I don't know. That's just how it works. I love that because
the way it built the magic in of the way the magic doesn't break the world of just magic it is, like,
and the way that not everybody can use the magic and not everybody can use everybody's things. Like it's very good. And people should see it.
The other thing I've seen recently, Beef. That I meant to bring up.
I have not yet watched Beef.
Excellent.
Film or show?
Show, 10 episodes, but a lot like 30 to 40 minutes.
Nice.
Stephen Yeun and Ali Wong.
I've seen the trailers and clips and stuff.
And like, if you needed any further evidence that Stephen Yeun in particular is like a world-class actor, here it is.
I don't need the evidence.
You don't need it, but if you did, here you go. Loved it. Really rich sort of text. There's art and there's meaning and there's themes, etc. But stuff fucking happens in it. Yeah. And I think I've made this point a few times recently. That's what I want in stuff. Tension and something happening. Cool. And then theme and I love themes and all that stuff.
Love
a theme. But that comes out of a story where something fucking happens, you know? And, you know, action, counteraction. And there's lots of that in Beef. So it's great. It's a great story, and it's really lots of meaning as well.
Do they have beef?
They have a lot of beef.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But it's great how it grows from something small into something big and just takes over their lives. But it's intersecting with all these things that are going on in their lives anyway. Like it's all the ways in which they're primed to engage in this beef. Basically. It weirdly reminded me a bit of Banshees of Inisherin.
Okay.
Where...
But they don't really get beef.
It's like you know how they just have like the explosions of the Civil War going off in the background?
Elsewhere,
in the way it's this interpersonal conflict, but it's kind of about this much bigger thing.
Cool.
So on our last episode, we were very confidently saying the next movie is Encino Man, and that's because I think I was just looking at his cinema release filmography.
Nice.
And actually the next movie that he was in was this one, Presumed Guilty, in 1991 still,
yep.
I think.
It is.
And so it's a TV movie starring him and Martin Sheen.
You can tell it's a TV movie from the opening frames.
And how can you tell that?
Because it's shitly filmed.
Shitly filmed.
No one cared.
That's the...
Let's do it. This is how we set a film in New York. You show
one of those
the
bridges,
Brooklyn Bridge, and then you pan down.
We're in Brooklyn. How do we show that? Let's film the Brooklyn Bridge and then pan to Brooklyn.
What? Oh,
hey,
man.
Come on!
Have you made films before? That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with it at all. I had a great time. As soon as it came up, as soon as it happened, I'm like, okay, cool, TV movie.
And it's a little bit like whiny, like 70s guitar because it's set in some...
that's sweet.
I love that.
Just some guy watches the film
like,
whilst in a sound room, and he just riffs for the whole thing.
It's like, what if a guitar was a saxophone? Let's play it like that.
Jason Segel's character in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, who just gets played the episode and he just plays tones over it. That is exactly how this film was scored.
Oh, one of the best films of all time. I haven't thought about that bit of it for a long time.
Just plays tones.
It's just tones. It's not even music. So this is a 1991 film
based on a true story.
Based on a true story, which I did not figure out for some time while
until
watching
the credits at the end.
Well, no, because I was googling. I'm googling while I'm watching it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Did you not know till the end?
No.
Oh, okay. Because it doesn't say based on a true story at the start.
It doesn't start with it, no.
I guess you don't... Do you do that in a film that's based on a true story? You don't have to say it, like, legally.
You don't have to, but a lot of films start with based on actual events.
Yeah, it made it all... As soon as I realised the film thinks you know that it's based on a true story.
Yeah, I think the film may have been the ads on TV leading up to it. Hey, this is the story of that guy that this thing happened to. Everyone heard about it in the news like 4 years ago.
Yeah, like I think it would have been quite a well-known thing at the time. Mm. So this is a true story of a guy who was wrongly convicted of murder, robbery and murder in Marine Park in Brooklyn in 1979. Mm. And I guess, spoiler alert, he gets convicted and then ultimately exonerated like 6 years later.
Yeah, he's in prison for 6 years.
Yeah, and as soon as I found out it was a true story, I was much more on board.
Nice.
It all hangs together much more as a true story.
It does. If it was made up, if it was a fictionalized tale.
Yeah.
Boring as fuck.
Yeah, it kind of.
You know?
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was well. Okay,
if somebody wrote this as a novel, I'm like, you wouldn't want to read it. It wouldn't. It would have been made into a TV movie.
Yeah. Oh, just before we get started.
Okay.
I know we've started. I had my final notes on Dogfight.
Oh, nice.
This is a little Dogfight coda from last week.
Is it just literally the words? This is shit.
No, it's a bit more than that.
Should be called dog shit.
So we made lots of jokes about how they. We never said that last week. And maybe we shouldn't have done. Dogfight, more like shit fight, you know what I mean? Got him. Just I love how we're just tearing apart the legacy of the wonderful River Phoenix. So that we made fun of the way they kiss a lot. It's like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but instead of secret agents, they're both secretly the cockroach alien from Men in Black.
Sugar water.
Yeah, I think it's great when he comes back from Vietnam, and I'm glad she's continued to live a great life, because I wouldn't blame her for being just spiritually broken after this evening she spent with Eddie Ostrich Legs or whatever the fuck his name is. The guys in Clockwork Orange are called droogs. I was trying to think of that word. They're called droogs, and I thought of it independently afterwards. I didn't even have to look it up, and I was annoyed. I also wrote, this movie is so bad, I've never wanted people to die in the Vietnam War more. I said, this movie is so bad, it makes me glad the Vietnam War happened if it killed some people like these characters. And then I said, yeah, would rather watch a dogfight, would rather be publicly arrested and named as the organizer of a dogfighting ring, would rather get dressed up in a furry costume and be one of the dogs in a dogfight and have it filmed and sent to my employer than watch this film again. So that's that on that.
I don't think we ever hated a Daniel Craig film as much.
And we are completely alone, Isaac. We are the only ones in the world
that hate dogfighting.
We're the only ones in the world that hate dogfight.
Well,
we've been posting it on my TikTok account.
Yeah.
And one of the few comments we received...
one of the comments that we've been inundated with.
Said, liked the video, said, this is one of my favourite movies, Psycho and all. Followed by 3 laughing emojis. So... clearly
it's
a bit
of
of
a positive response,
but clearly
and they understand that we are correct.
But clearly a bit of an old timer as well, due to the emojis, not like us. Anyway, Presumed Guilty is the story about Bobby McLaughlin,
who is wrongfully identified
as a murderer, played by the king of film, Brendan Fraser, and this is very much his first film. Yeah. It's not his first cinema release. That'll be Encino Man, but this is. The opening credits are, it's Martin Sheen in Presumed Guilty, just like get people on board, and then it's everyone else. And I was like, how? Oh fuck, Brendan's hardly in this one as well.
When it was and then it said, and
introducing Brendan Fraser as Bobby McLaughlin. What? I was like, hell fucking yeah! Dude. And this is just a big old Brendan Fraser film, and I liked it. I think it's really good.
Co-lead.
I'd call. Yeah, probably because Martin Sheen is doing all the work to get him out. So it's really the story of Bobby McLaughlin and his father, foster father, as they never stop bringing up.
They're relentless about it. He stops it. He's like, this is my son, and this is my dad, and they're like,
yeah. And everyone else is like, just so you know,
this is foster father doing it.
DNA is completely different over here.
Are we going to go through plot?
Let's go through plot. Let's get it started. Marine Park, Brooklyn, 1979.
It's very dark.
It's yes. And
like
in the park, it's
very dark.
It is very dark. And it's one of those things, it's a phrase that I never like seeing used or employed, an open-air drug market. Which I guess is what we call it when poor people buy and sell drugs.
Under the night sky?
No, I think open air is like it's not happening secretly in a dark room. So that's where the community of people who are using drugs and may be destitute or homeless sort of gather together in a spontaneous communal space that is strong enough to protect themselves from the police, such that they are able to sell and use drugs in a way that is that has to be less hidden and stigmatized. And that does kind of ruin the park for everyone else in a lot of cases. And so obviously, got to crack down. They're sending in the National Guard in San Francisco at the moment for this very reason. But anyway, lots of drugs in Marine Park, apparently. And
especially in 1979.
Yeah. You know, part of my Googling, Marine Park, part of the landmass of what it is, was just trash. It just arose from trash.
And they grassed over it.
And I think they grassed over it. And then there were so many rats there, in the 60s, kids would hunt them with bows and arrows.
That's fucking badass.
I would fucking love to do. If I was a child.
Holy shit.
Child me was just wanting to hunt rats with a bow and arrow. Wanting to live that life.
There are no animals that you can really hunt here with a bow and arrow close to where we've lived.
Well, yeah, and in England there was just nothing.
No.
You know,
there are no animals in England. You guys ate them all.
We have picked that island clean. I would love to hunt rats with a bow and arrow. Anyway, in Marine Park.
Especially like New York rats that are the size of like Dobermans.
Yeah, or like Terminator flash forward style.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a mugging
Marine
happening.
Park, there is a mugging in the
dark
darkness.
as all
There are two
hell.
guys with guns, and about 30 people land on their stomachs.
Yeah.
And they are holding these people down.
People who are just sort of like moving through the park and they're sort of passers-by.
Yeah.
Multiple of whom, I found out in my reading, were friends of Bobby McLaughlin.
That's kind of cool.
And told the police, no, obviously, definitely he wasn't one of them.
That's very cool.
Because we know what he sounds like.
Yeah.
That never came up, did it? Anyway.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
and because Bobby knows the guy who died.
Yeah, he knows Spooky.
Mm.
So Spooky gets shot and killed. He like gets up. They're getting him to lie down. He gets up, and one of the muggers shoots and kills him. And then Jimmy O'Neill, who's a 15-year-old, and he says that he can identify the muggers. And he says to one of the police officers, "Is that guy dead?" And it's kind of like, "Well, what do you think, mate?" He's got shot point blank with a shotgun. Brendan Fraser breaks into his own house, and so we establish his relationship with his family.
Mm.
So he's got siblings; they all like him. And then Martin Sheen, not having a bloody bar of it, mate.
No.
He comes down, baseball bat in hand. Seems like Bobby McLaughlin smoked a joint once, and that was the last straw.
Well,
First and last straw for these guys.
my father never forgave me.
No, exactly. And we didn't even know what for.
Exactly.
He just said one day, "It's over. Be gone." And here we are. Now you live in this room.
So he breaks in, and his dad wants to kick him out onto the street again because he's obviously lost his way. And his mum's like, "Nah, you can have the couch."
Now, come on. I'm a mum. I'll be the nice one.
Yeah. And then...
Yeah, great. The line I liked in this that Martin Sheen says is, "Even Timmy thinks you're a big shot with your boozing and carousing."
It's so cool to see Martin Sheen be a square.
They're doing lots of sort of like Brooklyn writing. The one slight weak point of Brendan's performance is a bit of the sort of Brooklyn accent he's doing.
Yeah.
It
comes and it goes.
I didn't kill nobody. Like, I'm like, what are you doing?
It comes
Just
more
be
into
Brendan
it
Fraser.
during like the bits where he's filmed just talking head,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, you're doing the accent there, but when it's in conversation with other people,
It kind of goes away.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. You're adopted. You could be from anywhere.
Exactly. The
know?
accent comes and it goes.
They just, you're a melting pot of a child.
Exactly.
And the character is about 20. I think Brendan's like 24 or something in this. Somebody shot Spooky Halstead tonight. And tells his mom, he's like, "God damn, people be getting shot."
Little 15-year-old is brought into the detective's office,
Yeah.
and it's made clear that the detective is on his first ever murder case.
Yeah.
And
Just go back. I liked that because they have there's the next morning scene as well where he's sort of having gets in another
coffee and
fight with
stuff.
his dad, and you just really establish their very different relationships between him and his mum and him and his dad, and you saw a completely different side of him come out after the dad left. I thought this is all really well done, really well accomplished. It's a very, very easy watch, and yeah, his dad's just horrible to him.
straight up horrible.
Just a terrible guy. just
like
he's just giving him absolutely nothing.
no
He's like,
chance.
when
to
I was your
explain
age,
himself.
yeah, I'll just join the force, then you'll be fine. Or, join the service, get a real job. Delivering
Spend the next
pizzas isn't
20
a
years
real
being a
job.
bum,
Yeah.
which is what you are.
I'm like, well, delivering pizzas is a real job.
It is. People need to do it. People need pizza.
There's incredibly unemployed people who would love to be delivering pizzas right now.
True. And also, people in New York notoriously need pizza.
Exactly.
Those pizzas need to be delivered.
You're never going to go out of business.
Exactly.
It's
That is longevity of a job right there.
Yeah. Yeah. We are not going to stop eating pizza.
Like, there's no room for career progression, but you are solid in that position. That's like being hired by the government. You ain't never going to get fired unless you do something, like, illegal. Even then,
it has to be, like, very illegal.
they are on your side.
And the papers have to find out about it.
That's the only thing that needs to happen. The papers need to find out about
And it has to be something illegal the government didn't tell you to do. Because if they told you, they'll probably be fine. Anyway, then bloody O'Neill. They changed that guy's name. The real person was Tobin. I'm not sure why they did that. But O'Neill...
Protect the innocent.
And yeah, he's just identifying people left and right at the police station.
I mean, 2 people, technically.
I love those shots of American police stations, and there's always just like cops at their desk. There's always like a woman gesticulating intensely to one police officer.
And there's always one of them leading an attractive woman away in handcuffs.
Yeah, attractive woman in handcuffs.
Woman of the night away in
sort of
handcuffs.
coded sex worker character, like, "Hey, come on!" And there's always a guy with like his shirt unbuttoned, yelling in the background.
Couple people leaning against the window of a holding cell.
Yeah, it's always just the same 5 stock characters of this is what police stations are. I'm like, you guys, whenever I see it, I'm like, you shouldn't be doing all this in your office space. Imagine you're just at your desk trying to do some work.
It's the bullpen, man. That's where the action happens.
And so I didn't realize, I went back and watched a bit of this again, because this is really where the action is happening in this scene. This is where everything gets set in motion.
So...
specifically what this cop is doing, like moment by moment here,
it's shown everything.
Makes everything happen.
We get a little bit of a flashback later. But, so, cop in charge, one of his mates is like, careful, it's your first murder.
Yeah.
Do it right. Like, take your time. Don't rush things.
Yeah.
And he's like, I got this, bro.
Bear in mind that eyewitness IDs are very shaky and they're not reliable.
Especially from a 15-year-old who's just been mugged.
Yeah, and this detective is like, I'm going to take none of your advice.
Yeah.
And
I know you seem older and more respectable and I'd say knowledgeable and experienced than I am, being my first murder case. But
what you don't understand is, this is what I want to happen.
This is what I will build my entire fucking career on.
I want it to be true that he's identified him, and so that's what I'm going to make be true. So what you're saying. What you're saying about how what I'm doing is illegitimate. I don't like that, and so I think I'm going to choose to live in a different reality. And because I'm a police officer, I'm invested with the power to destroy people's lives in order to construct a reality that I would prefer. And so I'm just going to do that relentlessly for decades.
That's what he does.
And that's the justice system, baby.
So he brings in the little kid, and
so it seems like the kid does quite legitimately identify Ferro, the other guy. He spontaneously picks him out of just the mass of people, and then that guy he is previously arrested with a different Robert McLaughlin with a different spelling that is written on the back of that card. And so then that police officer goes and picks Brendan Fraser out of a drawer as a different Robert McLaughlin, shows it to this 15-year-old, and it's like, he's been arrested with this guy before, which is not true, and is obviously massively biasing, and then just like looks at this 15-year-old intensely, being like, is that him? Could that be him though? What if that was him? Do you think that could be him? Feels like it's him, right? and then eventually he's like, yeah. He's like, really? Oh, wow, what an amazing conclusion you've reached. And then after
by yourself?
And then after showing him the picture of Brendan Fraser, takes him to pick Brendan Fraser out of a lineup. Like, I wonder if he's going to get him. So they go and arrest Robert McLaughlin, bring him in. And Brendan's doing so many little bits in this lineup scene as well.
Yeah, he like stretches. He's doing fucking...
He's got his arms around the guys either side of him.
He's doing the usual suspect shit.
He's doing lots of usual suspect shit.
So
That's
cool.
exactly what I was going to say, yeah. And so, yeah, he's doing so much.
Checks himself out in the mirror because he knows he did nothing.
And he knows he's a fucking smoke show, mate.
Yeah, God.
I think it's immediately apparent in this movie what a world-class actor we have on our hands. Like, so three-dimensional.
He's just... And when he gets down to the nitty-gritty of the acting stuff later on...
Oh, man.
Gosh.
There's some...
This guy could definitely win an Oscar in 30 years.
Those guys... You can feel this guy's only 30 years off that Oscar. You can feel this guy's only 5 presidents away from an Oscar. You can feel it. Those guys who make montages of male actors doing screaming acting and say, look, montage of best acting.
Al Pacino can act.
They need to get some bits of Brendan Fraser out of this movie. His
little bits of crying.
His 1 minute phone call, man, talk about sizzle reel. When he does that 1 minute phone call to his parents, he cycles through so many different things, and it's just effortless. You know, him inhabiting this role. It's a really great opportunity for him. I feel like Encino Man is kind of a weird second step after this, But
Nah, it's cool.
But
it's
that's
fun.
it's
I mean,
just
Bam-
crazy demonstrating he has that whole other gear and set to him. You know, this is just like one of the things he does, and then he also do fucking George of the Jungle.
You know, I think
And
Encino
I
Man
think-
is a step towards George of the Jungle in terms of he does this, which is like dramatic and acting, and then
Yeah.
he does fun,
Yeah.
and then he just does fun for like 20 years.
Well, I think the Mummy. My emergent theory at the moment is that maybe the Mummy represented the crossing of the streams, really, because he's funny, but it's also drama and action, and he can play emotion as well.
Well, we haven't seen it yet.
I mean, yeah, because our thing is we haven't seen the Mummy,
Yeah,
famously.
so he's in
Picks him out of the
lockup.
lineup,
He's been
And Martin-
arraigned.
and Martin Sheen is all just like, well, obviously our son's guilty.
Yeah.
Like, did you do it,
Have
son?
you seen our son? He's
Yeah.
a fucking letdown.
He's a fuck. What I mean.
I'm so glad we're not like actually I'm pretty sure there's a moment where he,
He
says,
says-
"I'm glad he's not our biological son."
He says, "God forgive me, but right now I'm glad that he's not our real son." I'm not sure God will be cool with that.
I hated him for so long.
That's such a terrible thing to say.
It does such a good job of making Michael Sheen's character a dick,
But,
like
like,
from the start.
Because I'm sorry, if you adopt someone, they are your real son. That's the point. That's the point of adopting someone. You don't get to adopt someone and be like, yeah, but not really though.
It's like,
we're not.
I'll adopt you, but if you do something wrong,
But we're not gonna.
back on the streets.
We're not.
bitch.
Yeah, like
Back on
no.
the fucking streets.
He is you don't get to pull the he's adopted card when they get arrested for murder. Too late. He's 20 years old. This is your son, dude. Yeah, it was weird though because it's just they make his character so black and white. Given how much of a 180 he has to do in like 10 minutes time.
Yeah, but he has little lines of being like, I want to believe he's innocent, but I just can't. I'm
Yeah,
like, it's
kind
not
of.
enough of a meaty role for him at that point.
Yeah.
For him to have the conflict, but because the conflict does happen and is resolved quite early, and he gets on his side pretty quickly, the rest of it is like.
'Cause
He gets some good stuff. Later.
It gets resolved like at the end of the first act,
Yeah.
which kind of surprised me because it was taking up so much airtime. I thought this is a story about this father-son relationship
Same.
and the father figuring out what an absolute piece of shit he is. But when he figures that out, like 30 minutes in, like, oh, okay,
And he
what are we
spends-
doing?
Yeah, because
I-
that's at the point.
I guess
at
we're
that
doing
point,
a
I'm
legal
like,
drama now.
because we're like viewing it as a fiction. And
Yes,
so
I was
if
viewing it
you're-
as a
if you're reading
fiction.
it as a fiction, you that if it's poised this way, it's going to be about a father-son relationship and
Yeah.
and the son proving himself innocent, and then the father realizing what a douche he is, like
Yeah.
over that point in time.
Yeah.
But when it stops being that, it's like
You
yeah.
realize, oh, okay, we're doing
doing
the
doing
prison stuff now. So he gets arraigned, and then fucking Beverly Rosen turns up, the court-appointed attorney. This fucking
irked me from the get-go.
Betty White-looking motherfucker pitches up into this family's
I'm
lives.
so glad it wasn't played by Betty White because I would have loved the character.
I
hate her.
I love Betty White, obviously,
Yeah.
but is it going too far to say I don't want her to defend me in a murder trial?
No, but if she
know
played
what I
that
mean?
character in a film, you would love that character.
I'd
even
like
if it
this
was the-
character
if it was the
more,
villain,
even
yeah.
if it did everything this character does. And she's just rubbish.
Oh,
She's
so shit.
doesn't understand what's happening. She does not. She's like just blithely confident the entire time that everything's going to be
You
fine.
need to relax.
Let justice take its course. Oh yeah, let just float down these rapids, and it'll probably be fine as long as you just float. Then what could possibly go wrong?
Just don't fight the system, man. Just
Yeah,
let it
don't
help
fight
you.
the system because the system is obviously great. And, maybe from our vantage point, we're like, obviously he's going to prison, but maybe there was a good chance that the jury would let him off because there wasn't strong enough evidence. But
Well, if she was a better attorney, that could have possibly been a thing
yeah,
from the get-go.
they don't really address why they stick with the court-appointed attorney. Like, surely you can get a better. I know you're not millionaires, but
I think they stuck with her because
it will delay
he
the
doesn't,
trial.
He
as
doesn't
well.
trust. He doesn't
that's
trust
another
the
thing.
son. because at that point he hasn't had the lie detector test.
Oh
yet.
yeah, so he's like, doesn't matter. He's
doesn't
guilty.
matter, he's guilty.
I've presumed that.
We're not going to pay for an attorney if he is guilty.
Yeah.
We just get the court to give him one, even if she's real shit.
Yeah,
and then he gets that lie detector test, and it's past the point in time where they can appoint their own.
Yeah, without.
And so.
Yeah.
But then it's revealed
and our son's obviously guilty because, and this fucking boils my blood when someone says something like this, because people still say it even now. It's like, the cops don't generally arrest someone for no reason, mate. Don't they? Don't they? Famously not.
Especially not in America.
Yeah. Oh, if you didn't do anything wrong, you wouldn't have been arrested by the police. Like, how dumb, just how completely lacking in critical thinking do you have to be to just think that's how the world is operating around you?
Yeah, the cops are the good guys.
And look, and some of them are fine guys. But the system they're embedded in is not one where you can just let justice take its course. Because it's not, justice isn't the thing that is happening. It's ambitious, traumatized people in the form of lawyers and judges and cops, desperately trying to mostly serve their own interests under terrible material constraints.
Yep.
So why would you trust this to do what's right for you?
Because it's justice.
Yeah, anyway. He passes the polygraph test. Yeah. Famously, something that is often wrong and people can fake and people can pass and is not admissible in court. And for some reason, this makes the dad go, oh my God, I can't believe how wrong I was.
But it would, though. It's your son.
This flips everything for the dad. obviously a big technology guy. So Bobby passes the polygraph and is like, on a dime, Martin Sheen is like, I know you didn't do it. I'm such a terrible person. How could I have said all those things I said? Hand on glass, can you forgive me? And they have a hand on glass moment.
They do have a hand on glass moment.
And I was like, okay, so emotionally, the movie is over now.
Yeah, it feels if it was a fiction.
If it was a fiction,
that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, but procedurally, we have a lot left to do.
So it's revealed, like everyone keeps going, yeah, your trial will be in a couple of weeks. We'll get you out really quick.
Yeah.
9 months later.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, it was a line of dialogue. I'm sorry that you've been here for 9 months. They kept giving us reasons and shit.
Yeah. So the trial finally begins. He's on trial with Pharaoh, which is crazy. It is
technically the year after he was arrested. He goes to trial.
I think something. So yeah, we missed him getting into a big fight in prison. That was all good.
And he's a fucking badass.
He wins the fight when the guard comes in. Is like, hey, what's the problem here? Brendan Fraser says, nothing if you let me fight just one of them. Such a metal line. That was great.
So cool.
And then he just beats the shit out of that guy.
Totally.
But I think Brendan's doing such a good job here of playing. He's like just showing how sort of brutalized by the environment he is being. It's like he's being aggressive, but he's an aggressive, punchy guy, but just intensely vulnerable the whole time as well. That's all you need. That's all you need. The trial finally begins. And Beverly Rose, like the prosecutor, doing a bang-up job.
Oh, she's fucking...
She's nailing it.
She's like, yep, this guy's... If he's guilty, he's guilty.
Yeah. So, and it's like,
but joint trial. Oh, God,
the joint trial.
Fears, man.
Beverly Rosen gets up, and her opening statement is like, "Look, my guy's innocent. Please keep an open mind. Thank you."
She sits fucking back down.
And everyone's like, "What the fuck are you doing, Betty White? Get the fuck back up there and say something else."
Betty's slightly blonder.
Betty's slightly blonder and younger. And the prosecutor's talking to Farrah, the other guy. She's basically like, "So you live with your mother?" Like, turns to jury. She's like, "What a loser, am I right?" And then, "Oh, you've got a great alibi, but your alibi is just a bunch of potheads, in the prosecutor's framing." And Rosen's still like, "Don't worry, chill out. I've got some cards up my sleeve. It's going to be fine." But it's kind of crazy you're getting Martin Sheen in for a TV movie like this by 1991.
True. I'm trying to think of the last made-for-TV movie that I've seen that wasn't like a Disney Channel original movie.
Yeah, are they still out there making TV movies?
They make a lot of Hallmark movies and all of those
Hallmark
movies I would call TV movies.
Yeah, but they're also all on streaming.
Like Home for Christmas.
Yeah.
That's what I would call a TV movie. Even though they're made for streaming, that's got the same vibe as a TV movie.
Yes, there's a TV movie vibe, which is what this has.
Yeah, Christmas Prince.
well, I'd put that in a separate bracket.
Yeah,
of
but
of
for
quality
reals,
and value.
But for reals, though. Christmas on the Ranch. Most of them are Christmas movies these days.
Yeah.
But or horse movies. Christmas or horse movies.
Yeah, it's Christmas
They're
and
all
horse.
made for TV.
But there's
They
no
don't get no cinema release.
Yeah, where's the TV movie legal drama that are, like this?
I'm sure there'd be a Hallmark legal drama that also involves the plaintiff and the prosecutor falling in love.
Do Hallmark do Not Christmas?
I have no idea. I think so. Yeah, because they make horse movies of like the successful professional going back to a hometown just to help some farmer's market of some sort, and she meets the rugged dude who owns the cafe and lives in her parents' house. And
she's going to sell her candles at the rodeo.
yeah, exactly. And that's not Christmas. That's
It's always
just
candles or
that's just a horse
something.
movie,
Isn't it? Yeah.
Well, there's a wild Brumby somewhere, and this teen girl's got to tame it, and then they win a race of some kind.
Yeah.
But it's not like a regular horse race; it's a race like a cross country horse race.
Yeah.
Like Man from Snowy River, but like
Yeah. Or they, or there's then there's the cool girl from high school owns the horse ranch in town, but she was the not cool girl from high school, so they own camels. But over time, the townsfolk learn to love camels. And then they win the something
because camels can run for longer,
and they introduce like a spitting competition or something, so the camels win. You know what I mean? That's Hallmark, right? That's TV movies.
That'd be a Hallmark.
Anyway, yeah, Beverly Rosen gets up there and just like wildly speculates, which like you cannot do.
No, she just talks.
She implies that O'Neill, the witness, did the murder.
Yeah, she's like, maybe he was the bad guy.
You ever think about that? What if old mate over here, what if he's just fucking shooting people left, right, and centre? How about that? I'm like, you can't say that in court.
Yeah, that's their cards up her sleeve.
You just be objection, massive wild speculation. What are you talking about? Or maybe that's only when you're questioning someone. Maybe in your closing statement, you can be like, maybe I did it. Who knows?
You can just confess.
You could just maybe...
It was me, but you have no evidence.
Then you can just throw any shit at the wall. You're like, maybe one of you did it.
Was it you, sir?
Does any of us remember our own lives perfectly? What is memory? I'm glad you asked. Lights go down. PowerPoint.
Yeah, so she's shit.
And she's just like smiling smugly the whole time. And I know this is on purpose in the film, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to play.
That's what she actually did, though.
This isn't going to play well. This way of presenting, and I know this is this woman doing good acting. I'm like, yeah, the jury will not like this.
I want that to be like a real, that's exactly what happened there.
Why are you smiling so much? Someone died. This is a serious situation.
He totally found guilty.
Find him immediately guilty straight away.
He's so guilty.
They're like they don't even file out to the room to talk about it. They're just like, yeah, no, we're good. Let's just keep this rolling. We can get out of here.
He just turns to his mate. Yeah,
obviously the way this is presented is to make it seem like it's inevitable, but I can imagine it being surprising at the time. In a story about the failures of the justice system, it is, I think interesting and I think good to have those failures be depicted happening to a tall, handsome, charismatic white man from a well-to-do family.
True.
Because in one way, that is what happened.
But
that is what does happen.
There is the chance of those failures being rectified because he's a tall, white, handsome man.
Yeah, that definitely good point. Actually, yeah, that would help. I think maybe what's kind of happened here is, like, in a way, this is pretty subversive in what it's presenting, because it's showing how, well, on one level, it's showing that even when the court system isn't that bad, it still just gets totally the wrong outcome.
Yes,
even
when the appeal comes and the evidence and everybody knows,
everyone knows this is the wrong thing, but we can't get them out. Yeah.
Nothing they can do.
Yeah, so
somebody hit a hammer on a piece of timber a while back.
Yeah, exactly. Well, a magic hammer.
Oh yeah,
and they were wearing the magic black dress. So, and
they say goes.
Yeah, because they're just a judge. But so on one level there's that, and then on the other level, I think, yeah, the fact that it's happening to, like, if this was just complete fiction, you might lapse into saying like, well, that wouldn't happen to a tall, handsome, charismatic Brendan Fraser.
Sure.
But I think there's a deeper level of just class consciousness that we have to be more attuned to, which is like the police, in a way, and this is getting a bit heavy, but in a way, I think like racism, like accusing the cops of racism like uniformly, while obviously that is very prevalent, it's almost giving them too much credit a lot of the time, because they'll just fuck anyone up a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Like
if it solves a problem,
if it solves a
quickly for
problem, they just want a name on a crime and a body in a jail. And like then I think a lot of the time, if you're just a ne'er-do-well, you know, or a grub as they might see it, someone with no power, doesn't matter if they're white or black or anything else, they'll get them in, because this is just a nobody. So we'll pin this murder on them. And I
Feels
think
like that, yeah.
And I think what's kind of happened here is maybe, and this is just me wildly speculating, much like Beverly Rosen might from my initial reading of this film, maybe what's happened here is the police thought they got a ne'er-do-well, but he's actually from this relatively nice family with this dad who has enough time and determination, material ability, and like emotional capacity to pursue his exoneration and get this shit sorted out and get him out. Whereas a lot of the time, if you're from a family who just isn't capable of that, there's no one who's going to advocate for you, and so you'll just stay in there.
Yeah.
So this isn't like, oh, the system worked. It's like, oh no, the cops tried to pin it on someone who had a little bit more behind them than they realized, and so eventually they got out. Maybe that's it. So this is available on YouTube if anyone wants to watch it. It's a bit of a shame that in the thumbnail for the YouTube video, it's Martin Sheen and Brendan Fraser like with their arms up celebrating, wearing suits. Oh, okay, so he gets out.
Oh, wow. Oh, it's got a happy ending.
Yeah. Yeah, and so he goes to prison. They're like, this is insane. Martin Sheen is immediately like, I'm going to get this fucking figured out. And he's initially he's sort of on Struggle Street, doesn't really know what he's doing. He goes to Marine Park and just like questions a random black man. That bit's like, were you here? It's like, dude, just someone. And that guy had such a good line as well. He's like, were you here on the night of the blah blah blah? And that guy goes, look, man, I ain't even here now.
That is cool.
Great line.
I also like that immediately he thinks he's a cop.
Immediately. Well, 100%.
The black guy's like, yeah, okay, mate.
Yeah.
It's my birthday. Let me go, man.
Yeah, he's
like, I'm not
Martin
actually
Sheen.
a cop, dude.
He's got a very cop-like face.
He does have a very cop-like
They
face.
do say that in this.
That's
Like
why The Departed works so well.
They say every Irishman looks like a cop.
Yeah. Also a great line.
Also a great line. I only realized recently how, I guess as a part Irish myself, I guess it's offensive, the term paddy wagon. Because that's from the time when most people being arrested were Irish. Yeah. And so this is the wagon you put all the paddies in. Like, oh shit. And everyone's it's just sitting there right in front of you. Like, I guess that's bad.
Yeah, a little bit.
But then also lots of Irish people are cops. Oh, history is so complicated, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So prison is bad. Guy gets stabbed in the lunch line, etc.
Brendan is yelling for help, but then the guy's just like, just walk away, man.
Don't worry about it. People get stabbed, it's fine.
That guy just dies on the fucking kitchen floor.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's just bleeding out.
So Martin Sheen, I'd love to know if this was true, if the dad did do this, just breaks into the police station.
Oh, so badass.
Just pretends to be a cop, just guts.
He's like, hey, can you show me the detective's room? Yeah, mate. Right up there.
I mean, he's Martin Sheen.
How does this work?
Like, with like trench coat over arm, walking around. You look so legit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, a poor person's dad couldn't do that.
No. Exactly.
It's things like that. Anyway, he breaks into the police station and just like has to keep getting help to work the computer, like surreptitiously. I like at the beginning when they go in and the 15-year-old eyewitness is like, what are all these computers for? I guess that used to be a question, didn't it? Why would you need them? You're just the police managing thousands of cases.
You're supposed to know them in your mind.
Yeah. Like the Bene Gesserit or something. And he figures out the clerical error, basically, that has led to Bobby being arrested. Gets Jerry, his police officer friend, to help. And basically they just start chasing after this as hard as they can. They realize it's not the other Robert McLaughlin because he's too short to be the perpetrator.
Yep.
I have to say this. gun to my head, I could never guess anyone's height.
Yeah, when someone says, if someone's like leaning over you doing anything, I ain't guessing weight, I ain't guessing height.
But like, at my best moment, I'm not guessing it either. Like, it seems in movies and TV, it's always like, oh yeah, they were 6'4" and 170 pounds. I've no idea what anyone weighs or how tall anyone is.
It's not something that comes into my mind ever.
I struggle to remember my own height. You know? So when someone's like, oh yeah, look at that guy, he's 5'2", I think. How are you? I don't have that sense in me, that internal barometer. And some people are out there just being like 5'2", 4'9", 6'2".
Yeah, but those people are fucking weirdos.
I guess, yeah, they're just really into heights.
Yeah. Oh, they're the people who like care about how tall you are when they date you.
Everyone's into different shit, I guess.
America seems to be hella into 6'4".
Yeah. Something like 40 or like 50% of CEOs of Fortune 500 companies are of that height.
Like real
or
tall
above it.
people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weird.
Tall people earn more money on average at the same job. So being tall, like the disparity of short to tall in terms of income is the same as like the gender pay gap and the like
fuck?
other forms of discrimination. Yeah. I think it's a similar thing for men if you have hair. Bald men earn less.
Yes, so
Bobby
he breaks in,
Bobby's having and he figures
realizes
out what happened.
that obviously there's been a massive mix-up.
Massive.
Bobby's been
what a terrible
mistaken identity.
What a terrible honest mistake.
He goes to his sweet detective friend who lives in another precinct.
Yeah.
And says, "Hey mate, can you help out?" A year later, that guy goes, "Hey, I've just come back from the Brooklyn depot." Why were you there for a year, mate?
Just really bedding down, just really getting the details.
Everyone there, presumably except for the detective who's built his career off of this one case.
Yeah.
Everyone there's like, "Nah, mate, it was definitely a bad ID. He like pressured that kid." Yeah, mate. We all know.
Yeah.
Like we're all well aware, except maybe this dickhead.
We're all well aware. None of us are going to say or do anything about it.
Yeah, but like
we're never going to bring it up.
We're just the cops, man. We're not the law.
Yeah. Far be it for us as the police to address a terrible miscarriage of justice we're all aware of.
Yeah.
That's not really our job. We've got too much shit going on.
The bad guys.
We
caught a bad guy.
We're out here chasing down criminals. Thank you very much. Bobby's having panic attacks in jail, basically, is really struggling. And I think that was really good, regardless of what the truth of the matter was. I think that was a really good way to try to keep a sense of urgency to the storyline.
Yes.
I thought that was really good. It's sort of showing, because if he's like in jail for life, you could kind of feel the energy go out of the story, but showing like, no, like the fact that he's not doing well in prison. He's not like in there getting a master's degree and doing push-ups.
He gets his high school diploma.
That was really nice.
And he is working out. Like,
but
he's getting hella buff. He's getting ready for that George of the Jungle.
Exactly. Yeah, he's using his time. But some people go to prison and they're just like meditating and and they start teaching yoga to the other inmates, and there's the sort of quote unquote flourishing in prison. But the fact that he is not and is just like desperate to get out every minute of the day, I think that kept a real propulsive energy to we have to get him out. Not just get him out, we have to get him out as soon as possible because he may not last in there.
Yes,
that was really
it's
good.
It's shown quite well.
Yeah.
I do like that his cellmate is kind of cool, kind of nice. Like the couple of lines that he gets with his cellmate, like they have a nice little dynamic. That's cool. Good for them. They have to shit in front of each other.
Yeah, that's part of it. This is all part of it. Welcome to prison. You have to shit in front of each other. That's part of it. You are sentenced to shit in front of your best friend for 10 years.
Don't become too close to this guy because you do have to shit in front of him for the next decade.
Can't he leave while I... No.
Can he look away? Well, he can, but will he? Who knows?
So only sometimes. Prison is a morally bankrupt institution and should be abolished. So the appeal gets turned down.
Yes, the appeal gets turned down
and
because there's not enough evidence, even though everybody knows.
Yeah, but like he goes to talk to the judge about it, and that judge who's clearly conflicted, he gives a pretty good argument as to why. It's like, yeah, but you do need to change the evidence. Like, the thing that happens down the line is, spoiler alert,
he's
the
like-
eyewitness
and
recants.
the phrase, like, it has to be something that your attorney could not find previously.
Yeah.
And because she was fucking shit, she didn't
Yeah.
even try to
Yeah.
find something that she could have found originally.
Yeah.
So angry shit.
Yeah, and you know, yeah, it kind of annoyed me that they thought something was going to happen. Like, well, you haven't given them anything to make a different decision on, so that was annoying. Sheen has a big old heart attack, and the doctor is like, "You have to give up on your son, or you're going to die."
Yeah, that was intense for the mate. Just have to deal with it.
Forget about diet and exercise. That is deck chairs on the Titanic. You have to just let your son be in prison, otherwise you're gonna die.
With his news, and Martin Sheen's like, so I should change my diet, less salt, less sugar, and he goes, yeah, that, but also give up on your fucking
More
son.
importantly, diet and exercise, blah 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 blah. But seriously. This legal case, I'm a doctor, and I think this legal case is the problem. Thanks, dude. Then we start getting a bit fucking serious. Okay, Jerry gets the Civil Liberties Union on board. Okay, now we're getting some momentum. And I like that guy's like, yeah, most cops think everyone is guilty and don't give a shit about this. So the fact that you're bringing this to me and you're a cop makes me think, okay, there's something to it.
I love that he has just a cop friend, and like. That cop friend takes a year to get started, but after he gets started, he's there. He's the best friends.
Yeah, it takes a while to get going, but then it's off to the races. The Civil Liberties Union lawyer Richard Emery. These are all real people. It's really interesting, like the group of people that came together to get this going.
It's also nice how quickly it picks up. Like once Richard Emery's on board, it's like bam, bam, snap, 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 snap.
They should have got. Look, I'm sure Jerry the cop was doing great work, but I think if they'd got Richard Emery on board much earlier, I think things could have picked up pace. So then we get there's a columnist of the Village Voice, and we've got TV news reporters, and we're lambasting the justice system, as you might say. I thought this was funny when Martin Sheen goes out to get the newspaper, the Village Voice, with the big article about Bobby. And just the extras that are in that shot, for some reason, there's a nun, and then there's a guy who's like a bodybuilder, and then there's a cop, like everyone's in a costume doing a bit. It's like the Village people out there. I was like, whoa. When I saw the nun, I was like, okay, this is too much.
I also like that the front page of the newspaper was this man wrongly convicted of murder, and then he buys 12 copies.
Yeah.
Yes, this says my son was probably innocent, maybe. 12 copies.
Such a great headline. Was this man wrongly convicted of murder? And was like, how? And like Jerry the cop was like, I didn't think this could happen in this day and age, in this country. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, mate?
Well, he's a cop, so.
Yeah, I guess so. But just like to be in the police and to still think there's no way someone could get wrongly convicted of something. 100% no. Anyway, and then so finally, Richard Emery, the lawyer, they get Jimmy O'Neill in, the eyewitness, who I guess is now like 22 or whatever. And Richard Emery was just like, come on, buddy. Come on.
And
come on.
Jimmy's like,
okay.
Yeah,
all right.
I guess.
Fuck.
And they're like, sick.
Yes.
We've got a fucking witness.
Oh.
He's on our side.
Why?
Let's do it.
I wish we could have had this conversation 5 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
I think if someone had grabbed Jimmy O'Neill by the scruff of the neck back in 1979, I was like, "What are you talking about? You know, come on!" Then
it was him. I swear.
No, you could have shaken the truth out of him.
There's the TV news reporters come and they do a piece with Brendan in the prison.
Oh yeah, in the prison.
And there is some good Brendan acting right there.
Yeah, that's good Brendan acting as well.
He does some good acting.
And then they all go back to court.
Yep.
O'Neill doesn't even turn up because he's a coward. And they're like, still, we all know what he said. So I feel like
the DA,
I feel like we're done here.
Attorney's like, hey,
it's like, yeah,
we've taken his statement.
You can bin this if you want. We're actually fine with it.
We are happy for you to overturn this if you want.
You just don't worry about it.
Richard Emery's like, I'm a good lawyer. I'll take that.
And we're just like, yep, we're good with that as well. And then the judge, Anne Feldman, she's like, clearly this is all a load of bullshit. Let's just get out of here. This is stupid.
Yeah, those exact words, actually.
And she says,
verbatim,
he has endured more dark nights than anyone should have to bear, but when he was placed in the home of Harold and Mary Hone, the sun shone on him.
Banging.
I hope the judge did say that.
Same.
Because that's
good.
That's good. That brought some emotion up in me, especially after, I mean, the sun shone on him lately. There was a real dark point in the middle where he was like, thank Christ he's not our biological son. Otherwise, I'd feel way more attached. But yeah, it's very much the story of Harold Hone, Martin Sheen's character, getting his son out and driving this campaign. And then he just gets to just walk out.
He just leaves that day.
And he goes, I'm free, and it does a big freeze frame.
My least favorite line of the whole movie.
Freeze frame, fist up.
Freeze frame, fist up, I'm free.
Den, 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 den. Credits roll. Not to that music.
And that's when it's revealed that this is based on a true story, and he got like $1.9 million in damages because he was in prison for 6 years.
Yeah, in prison for 6 years, got 1.9 million, and
it's probably not enough.
No, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit more in 1991, but yeah, it could be a lot more. And yeah, it's a pretty amazing story, really. The intricacies of how the police made those quote unquote mistakes, you know, like that. It's just picking the wrong card out of the drawer.
Yeah. You'd like to believe that sort of mistake can't happen anymore because of like computers. Doing everybody's job for them. Like you find the picture of one guy. Yeah,
the clerical nature of the mistake, I guess, can't happen anymore. But
you'd like to think it can't.
But also, the problem here wasn't people making mistakes. The problem here was the cops didn't give a shit and just wanted to get a conviction of someone.
Well, one cop specifically, even though he was told by a wizened older detective.
Yeah,
mate, take it slow, mate. Don't rush it.
Yeah.
It's your first murder trial.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to do this in 2 fucking days, bro.
Lord knows we don't want to put an innocent person in jail. It's like, I don't mind. I really don't mind.
It's part of the job, right?
Yeah. I was looking up stuff about the case. Yeah, this is a story from University of Michigan. And it's like, as the police discovered that William Farrow had previously been arrested with a man named Robert McLaughlin. By mistake, the photograph of a different Robert McLaughlin, a man with no connection whatsoever to Farrow, was retrieved from police files, where it had been placed after he had been arrested on an assault charge for which he was never convicted. As he was shown the incorrect Bobby McLaughlin's photo, Tobin, which was O'Neill, was told, according to the interviewing detective's later recollections, that he saw before him a known criminal associate of Farrow. Encouraged by this information, the victim claimed that McLaughlin's face looked familiar as well. At a live lineup assembled shortly thereafter, Tobin again identified McLaughlin, this time with a good deal more certainty that he'd been one of the gunmen. 7 other victims failed to pick McLaughlin out of lineups, claiming there was insufficient lighting in the park to discern any of the attacker's features. One other victim, Tom Delosso, had, like the slain man, grappled with the murderer. Delosso insisted he had gotten a good view of the attacker and offered a rudimentary physical description of the man who had committed the homicide, a description which differed dramatically from McLaughlin's in each of its basic elements. Needless to say, Delosso did not select McLaughlin out of the lineup. Nevertheless, on the strength of Tobin's identification, McLaughlin was arrested and charged with murder. So there's so much countervailing evidence. Jeez. So, inefficient assistance of counsel, I think, would have been... I feel like, based on my, rudimentary understanding from listening to a lot of podcasts and stuff, I feel like you'd have insufficient assistance of counsel. I think it is to claim, we need to retrial, because look at all this shit Betty White never brought up, is what I would say. And yeah, he's kind of disappeared from the internet or the public life in the years since. I mean, and fair enough.
God, yeah. Got to spend that 1.9 million somewhere.
So, what do you think?
This is his best performance thus far.
It's definitely his best performance thus far because it's his first actual performance.
Clear that he's a very good actor in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are moments of this, and having seen The Whale,
which I haven't done.
No spoilers
because I
that's your thing.
That's my thing.
That's your thing. Yeah.
I'm the guy who hasn't seen The Whale.
I have that.
Yeah, that's your thing.
There are moments in that where it's Brendan Fraser doing amazing acting. Same. It's him performing. Feels the same. He hasn't learned heaps more since this.
You see a real...
he's still capable of that at this age.
You see a real continuity between what he's doing here in his performance down the track. Yeah, and I think it's great because this whole sort of middle section of his career, like Journey to the Center of the Earth, etc., you're not getting any of this.
You are not.
In fairness, because it's just not those roles don't require it.
No,
I feel like
he was
maybe
just having a fun, and also like his personal life was probably shit.
Well,
like,
yeah, maybe, but also I think The Mummy jolted him down that sort of action adventure path, and I think maybe the world kind of forgot about his tremendous dramatic abilities, which have now come raging back to the surface, much like a whale might.
They do rage.
Yeah. I think
hell hath no fury, like the rage of a whale.
I think, man, it's pretty good.
It's really good. Like it's top of the list.
It's top of the list, obviously.
Like,
of the three.
Of the three he's done, this is actually an actual role.
So this is the best movie Brendan Fraser has done so far.
But there's nothing in this movie do you not like about Brendan's performance?
No.
It's good not a great, like, it's not made fantastically as a film, but it's a TV movie.
It's a TV movie.
You get that.
You're just making it for TV, so it's fine.
Yeah.
I think
people don't care.
Strong script, strong performance. I thought it was going to be a bit more about the ways in which people can be presumed guilty, but it's not really aspiring to any of that. It's like, this is just the story of this guy and what happened, and like, wasn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy how this happened this time? I'm like, okay, fine. Sometimes stuff is like just that
without preaching. It's like, this is the facts of what happens, but we're not going to preach and say that this was wrong. It's just, this is what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I think...
Like, it feels like it could be the reenactment for a documentary without the documentary bit.
Yeah. It is a little bit documentary reenacty, but I think, you know, the two leads, Brendan Fraser and Martin Sheen, really elevate it, you know, through their performances. And
I also think
it's nice and short.
Stephen the Emery guy.
Yeah.
His performance was great. Like, he clearly comes across as a confident and successful attorney, and he's bam, straight good.
Yeah, I love those characters. People like that make me feel like, oh, I wish I was an attorney. Well, just those guys, you know, those characters that come in, like, especially like lawyer characters, and they just have a clarity about the situation, and like, this is what's going on, this is what needs to be done, and this is how we're going to do it.
The ability to do that, like in
Laura,
like 4 scenes
Knight
of
Rider.
acting. The ability to do that in like 4 scenes of acting is very good.
Yeah,
like it's impressive that you can come in and be super confident and go from the get go, and like that's perfect.
Yeah,
that's
I think
a very good performance.
Isn't it good that? I mean, talking about the fact that we don't have TV movies anymore, I guess it would have been
like
part of the deal with a TV movie is that I guess it probably has to be like 90 minutes.
Yeah,
and so I think imposing that restriction, which doesn't exist anymore with streaming, was probably quite a good thing for a lot of movies.
Yeah, you cut out all that bullshit.
Like, you think, like, this movie could have felt really rushed and abrupt because it's like 90 minutes and it covers a lot of ground. But it's
7 years.
But instead, I think the writing is efficient enough and powerful enough that it's just concise. And we love concision on this podcast. We're a pro-concision podcast.
We are.
And so that just made it feel, I think, very sort of fresh and not laborious, which I think things like this probably could. If I did want to juice it a little bit more, I think a little bit more insight into the villains, really. Like the prosecutor from the original trial. We get that one scene with her and you can see that she's conflicted.
Yeah.
And then the police who, because it wouldn't have been just that one detective, like other people would have been involved in putting this through. Like, just let us see a little bit more of the process by which people are presumed guilty for stuff and why exactly that happened, you know, and what made them think they could just get Bobby McLaughlin for it and it would be fine.
I enjoy that they don't go down the route of having Pharaoh's character state that he's guilty. Like they don't go down the route of like just showing, Pharaoh did it, and he
as in like they keep that an open question.
They keep
for
that
us.
an open question for us.
Yeah, sure.
Which I think is like thematically that's cool for the film.
And I don't know if that's ever really established.
Well, I think because
in the record or not.
Like, he's the one who was
He was kind of identified, but it's still by a 15-year-old in the
kid
dark.
who falsely identified somebody else.
And no one else identified anyone.
Yeah. But Pharaoh isn't also shown to yell that he's innocent. There's no
True.
emotion between Pharaoh.
Pharaoh, he's given off
like-
guilty vibes, isn't he?
He is.
He's given off the vibe of,
Yeah.
I've been caught for something that I did. And they're like, guilty. He's like, yep. Saw that
But could you
coming.
imagine, like, getting caught and you're like, I'm going to go to prison, but some other fucker's going to go free. You'd be like, nah, that's not fair. This kid did nothing.
Hey, well, if I was Pharaoh, I'd be feeling pretty confident about my own conviction, to be honest, because he's convicted. He didn't even shoot the person.
No, he didn't. No, yeah.
It's established that he
Someone
didn't
else-
shoot anyone.
Oh, no.
He was just an accomplice.
Oh, yeah,
An
it was
accomplice
too,
to
yeah.
murder. Because as we know, if you murder someone, you're going to jail. If you stand next to someone while they murder someone, you're still going to jail.
Yeah.
Because even if it's just moral support.
Hang on, I did nothing. This kid did nothing. You'd know who did it. You could
Yeah.
turn that guy in, and he goes to prison, and you get your little lighter sentence.
I always think that the thing with wrongful convictions that always fucks with me is like the person is still out there. There are so many just murderers walking around that are so many
it
murders that are
often-
never solved, and so many murders that are wrongly convicted,
Yeah.
especially in America. There's just so many murderers out there,
There's so many murders in America.
and they just live for decades more. It's like, wow, that's crazy. Like I always, and when they catch someone like 20 years later, and they've just had 2 decades of life.
How many times you could have walked past somebody,
Yeah.
or had a conversation with somebody,
Anyone
or
you
like
talk
you're
to.
working as a waiter and you serve someone at a restaurant, and this person has murdered somebody.
Yeah,
You'll never know.
yeah,
They know.
yeah.
How do you wake up every morning knowing you've killed somebody and then just be fine?
Well, I guess
I'll have
have
a
a
large Big Mac meal, please.
I'll have an eggs Benedict.
Hold the holidays.
I'm not a murderer. What? No, I just like to say that just to clear the air.
Because like the reaction that most of the public has to police is whenever you see a cop car, you're like, did I do something wrong?
Yeah,
You're
absolutely,
always like
100%.
that moment of paranoia of, have I
You're
done
like,
something wrong?
do I have a body in the trunk? No,
Am I?
I don't. Do I?
Is this me
No.
being wrongfully accused now? Like,
Yeah.
most people have that
This,
reaction.
is
Whereas
this
if
me coming out of a fugue state in the middle of a crime? No. Okay, there's
Could
not
you
blood on
imagine
my
that,
shirt.
that slight paranoid reaction when you've actually killed someone
Every
and you've
minute
lived with
of
that
every
for
day.
fucking 10 years,
Yeah.
and you're like, holy Jesus.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I mean, one of the reasons I'd never murder anyone, and there's a few, but one of them is like, in my mind, there is no getting away with a murder. Because even if you're not in jail, you're never free of it.
No, you are punishing yourself
You,
forever.
I am never personally, psychologically, ever going to be able to. I'm never going to be able to relax for 1 second the rest of my life. It's
There's
just
no
hanging over
meditation
you.
anymore. You'll have your quiet
Yeah.
moment, and then you're just like, oh fuck, not a
Yeah, I'm not meditating. What are you going to do? Go to the movies? You murdered someone. You're not putting that behind you, dude. Every second of it,
I've been saving up for a new car, but I murdered someone.
someone murdered someone. What are you going to do? Like, oh, Dungeons and Dragons is out. Do you want to go? No, we murdered someone. So I don't want to go. I want to sit here.
How are you handling this so much better than me? We got away with it.
It looks good. I think it looks good. But some people do. You just compartmentalize, I guess. Or like convince yourself you didn't do it.
there is
you
that,
can do
yeah.
that. I think that's what O.J. Simpson did. Like, I think he thinks he's innocent.
I think after this amount of time, he thinks. But also,
Because we all just construct the reality we want. Police want people to be guilty. Guilty people want to be innocent. And it's amazing what the mind can do, We want to have Brendan Fraser on our podcast. And,
if you just
whether
manifest
that,
manifestation.
whether or not that happens in material reality, at a certain point, we will have the experience of having him on the show through our shared delusion.
I'm okay with it.
And that'll be, that's as satisfying, because we won't know it's not real.
Top of the list.
Top
and
of the
it's also
list.
official that this Brendan could beat both other Brendans in a fight.
I was thinking about that. It becomes a little unseemly during the fight conversation when it's a real guy who suffered a huge amount.
Yeah, but this is Brendan Fraser.
We're not talking about Bobby McLaughlin. We're talking about this Brendan Fraser performance. Yeah. Well, he does beat people in a fight on screen. Sailor Brendan Fraser gets into a fight, but we don't see the end of it.
No, we just see 3 other dudes perfectly fine, just a little beaten up afterwards.
I don't know. I guess so.
But they're army rangers. They could definitely take sailors, right?
I feel like
Sam, sailors wear little bibs.
They do wear little bibs.
They're adorable little bibs. You can't win a fight
on the front and the back, and then a little hat off at an angle, and go adorable. Ahoy! And they have flared pants
Matey?
with little booties because they're out on the sea.
And they definitely sing songs.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they carouse.
Shanties.
They carouse. Big fans of carousing, those guys. But in that classic 1991 movie, Dog Shit.
I heard of it.
That sailor Brendan Fraser, I don't know, he's got more of like a Yeti feel to him. Like he's just framed as being sort of more lurchy and tall and sort of like
overpowering.
I am going to snap your neck. Whereas this Brendan, he's a bit more shaky and human.
He's wiry and stressed out, and that's why he wins that first fight. Because he needs to. It's a life-threatening fight.
He's in a life or death scrappy situation. Okay,
and I guess if that's where you were with Sailor Brendan,
whereas this Sailor Brendan, he's just
out with the mates. He's drunk.
He's out with the mates.
He's loose. He's worried about the fact that they're all shipping out soon,
and he's trying to probably hook up with that girl he's with.
Definitely,
and he's just sort of biased against the terrible Marines.
They are Marines. But they're also psychopaths, as we established throughout their entire journey. All 4 of them are fucking terrible. They're in that
Venn diagram. Yeah,
and the sailors are shown to be quite respectful, defending their ladies.
Yeah, the sailors who instigate the fight are the good guys.
That's the weird shit.
That's the horrible moral universe that film drags you into. All right, thanks for listening, everybody. We will be back next time with Encino Man for real this time. Not like we're not even joking. It is actually Encino Man. And if you're enjoying
Ke Huy Quan's Encino Man.
Ke Huy Quan's Encino Man.
Whoa,
yeah,
that's crazy.
If you like, you can follow us on Instagram at Exceptional Thieves or Twitter at Exceptional Pod, or send us an email at exceptionalthieves@gmail.com. Or if you also want to get clips of the podcast, you now can also look at what is my TikTok account, which I think is S. Brookfield. And you can see a bit of my stand-up on there as well.
I have done.
Coming to a fringe festival near you.
Nice.
Say that. That sounds good, doesn't it? That sounds real.
Respect.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. And
we'll see you soon.
Pursue justice out there. Join us next time for more exceptional theft of your time.